Hi. So today we're going to be taking an in-depth look at my Howard Miller grandfather clock, a presidential model. It has been in this home for quite a pretty long time now, and I'm very proud to have owned it for so many years. This is the Eisenhower model, which, if I'm not mistaken, is probably named after President Dwight D. Eisenhower, who of course was once President of the United States. So what we'll do is we will start off with looking at the case, and then we will work our way inside to the movement. To start off at the top, we have a beautiful open pediment with 3 finials. The one in the center is larger than the one on the left and the one on the right. And if we look at the top right up here, we will see what I believe is the Prince of Wales insignia. Moving on downward, we see over on the right and on the left that we have a beautiful column, which is about 3/4 of a column. This clock comes with a double door, as with most presidential models. Some clocks have a single door where you open it up and have access to both the dial and the pendulum. Moving our way down all the way over here, we'll see a beautiful keyhole and a beautiful key. Look closely and you will notice the Howard Miller insignia emblazoned on the key on both sides. Moving on downward, we've got a nice base. Very beautiful looking design right over here at the bottom. And let's take a quick look at the glass inside of this clock. You'll see that this piece of glass is beveled all the way around here. And the glass for the dial is also beveled, and so is the glass for the side access door to the movement, and so is this one. Pretty much every single piece of glass in this clock is beveled. Also, the type of wood used in this clock cabinet is a combination of mahogany, ebony, and maple, if I'm not mistaken. I believe there is no oak inside. Now, let's take a look at the dial. To start off with, we have our standard Arabic numeral dial. A beautiful motif. This is a custom that you'll mostly see on presidential models. Right in the middle, we've got a miniature dial for the seconds. And these are my favorite design of the clock's hands. I believe they're called serpentine hands. And moving on up, we of course have our lunar calendar or moon phase dial. You can see that we're almost at a full moon. This one has an etched brass lunar calendar. Some other grandfather clocks have a painted lunar calendar. One other thing to note is that on some Arabic numeral grandfather clocks, the number 8 can sometimes sort of look like a fish if you turn your head a certain way. I find that to be a little bit funny. Alright, moving on down here, we've got our 3 weights and pendulum. The weight on the left side is supposed to be responsible for making the strike mechanism work. The one in the center is for controlling the time, which is of course this clock's main purpose. And the one on the right is for managing the chime. Looking underneath the weights, it might be a little bit hard to see, but there are labels underneath these weights. Each one of them is specifically labeled left, center, and right. Also, these weights are embossed here, a very beautiful looking design. Moving on downwards, we have our pendulum, a very beautiful design. You'll most likely see this on most Howard Miller grandfather clocks. and some other brand of grandfather clocks, probably Sly or Hermely. And the embossed pendulum is coincidentally the same design as on the dial. Let's open up the clock case. It still is a little bit hard to see, but they do say left, center, and right. This is important because I have learned that each weight weighs a different amount. They're not exactly the same. Here are the free pulleys. I wind this clock every 6 to 8 days, or when the weights are low enough that it looks like that it needs wound. If you look closely right in between these weights, you will see this piece of brass right on the pendulum. I use this to see how far I should wind each weight, and I found it to be quite useful. Let's move on up here just a little bit further. Right here is the a label on the side door, the Howard Miller logo, and the clock's model number 611-066. And of course we have our serial number. I have this covered up because I personally want to keep this number private. I hope you'll understand. And of course, it says made in the USA. It also says made in USA on the dial. If we turn over this way, this thing here is the Heirloom Record. If somebody were to receive a grandfather clock as a wedding gift, and then those people would pass that on to their family members, they can write down who they gave it to inside of a scroll that is inside of this thing. So it is pretty nice detail. It was very nice of Howard Miller to put this in here. Alright. Let's lock up the cabinet and take a look inside of the movement. This movement is a Kenninger MSU series, a triple chime clock which plays Whittington, St. Michael, and Westminster. Looking down over here, we have our crank, which is used to wind it. Sadly, it does not have the Howard Miller insignia on it. But there is a special place here where you can put the crank to store it. Some people prefer to have it on top of the clock where it's easier to access, but I personally like to have it here. Also, this little hole right here is a spot where you can put the key, but I personally just like to leave it inside of the door right there, because if this key were to fall through there, it would be very, very exhausting and a huge hassle to get it out of there. So you can understand why I like to leave it in the door here. These two slots are also on the other side of the movement. Let's close this door and take a look at the other side. Alright, open that up. It's a little bit dark in here, so it may be a little bit hard to see. I wish that this clock came with a light installed. In one of my videos, when I showed it chiming from the inside, I had put a flashlight in to make it easier to see. If you want to see that video, I will put a link in the description. Anyway, here we have the movement. A little bit hard here to hold my phone. Over there you can see the Kenninger logo engraved on the back of the movement. This clock movement, Howard Miller gets their clock movements imported from Germany, all brass. The pin barrel for the chime hammers is reminiscent of a pin barrel for a music box. Other clock movements will have wheels with teeth on them. And I know it's hard to see, but there is indeed a spot for the key and the crank. Also, the Howard Miller presidential models come with hinged doors instead of the usual glass with a knob on it, which is a pretty nice feature. And this is all I have to show you with my Howard Miller grandfather clock. I really hope you enjoyed me reviewing this clock as much fun as it was for me to make this video. So, I shall see you all next time. Goodbye.